All right, let's build a foot. So for this foot, we're going to start with a simple box object. We're going to drag it in so it's about the right size. And let's go here and make this realistic so we can see, drag it over to an edge. All right, now, obviously it's a bit blocky, a bit chunky for a foot. So we'll add some segments in here. And then we're going to convert this to an editable poly. Once we've converted to an editable poly, we have vertex level control that we can go in and start modifying the way this object looks. All right, so we'll undo that and let's go to soft selection. Soft selection is pretty powerful for being able to edit the geometry in an area. So I don't have to select every vertex, but as I move this, you can see it kind of tapers off the amount of control that I have. So we'll scale that down and then move it down. So I start to kind of round off the object. So we'll grab everything in the front here. And we'll just start pushing stuff around with an idea of what we want to do. But a lot of times it's very nice to be able to just kind of push things and see what happens. So one thing you want to remember when you're dealing with geometry at the vertex level is that you really can't break it. I mean, there are definitely things you can do that you may not want to keep, but more often than not, anything you do can be fixed. So even if you end up doing something that you don't like, don't worry about it. You can fix it later. So as we go, maybe I want to grab all of these vertices, but sometimes they can be a little bit hard to grab. If that's ever the case, I can grab one and again, just shift click and I can grab a whole set, a whole loop all the way around. So maybe we'll scale that. So the idea here is that I'm really trying to round off this form so it's a bit more foot-like. All right, we are dealing with a robot though, so it can't be too round. All right, so that looks pretty good. Now I'm gonna go out of the edit poly sub-object and I'm gonna apply a turbo smooth. The turbo smooth basically subdivides the entire piece of geometry and automatically smooths out around the whole object. So the more iterations I have, the smoother the object becomes. Again, the more iterations I have, the more geometry I have. So there's a point here of no return, where if I just crank up the iterations to 20, we don't really want to do that, because every time I add an iteration, I'm subdividing one polygon into 4. So you can see you can add geometry pretty quickly to your mesh. You got to be careful. Most of the time you will not need more than 1 or 2 iterations of turbo smooth on any given object. Now on rare occasions 3 iterations is definitely usable, but on rare occasions most of the time 2 iterations is just fine. So then we'll take that foot and we'll shift copy it over to the other side.